Have you ever noticed that reading feels a little harder than it used to? Or that low light makes things blur sooner than before? For many people over 50, these small changes can feel confusing, and sometimes even worrying, because it's hard to tell what's normal aging and what deserves more attention. The truth is, our eyes change quietly over time. Visual acuity, contrast, and retinal sensitivity don't usually fade overnight. They shift gradually, often in ways we barely notice at first. And today, researchers are paying closer attention to how daily habits, nutrition, and overall lifestyle may influence how well our eyes age. If you've ever wondered whether there's more you could be doing to support your vision long-term, you're not alone. Take a moment and think about your own eyesight lately. Have you noticed any changes? Feel free to share your experience in the comments below, because what we're about to explore isn't about quick fixes or fear. It's about understanding your eyes better. And one overlooked piece of the picture most people never hear about. Have you ever caught yourself holding a book a little farther away than you used to? Or feeling like dim lighting makes everyday tasks more tiring on your eyes than before? For many people, especially after 50, these moments arrive quietly. They don't feel dramatic, but they can linger in your thoughts. You start to wonder if this is just part of getting older, or if your eyes are trying to tell you something important. Vision changes rarely announce themselves loudly. They tend to unfold slowly, blending into daily life. One day, street signs don't feel quite as crisp. Another day, contrast seems weaker when you're reading a menu or scrolling on a screen. And because these shifts happen gradually, it's easy to dismiss them or assume they're simply unavoidable. But what researchers and public health experts continue to emphasize is that understanding these changes, without fear, without panic, is one of the most empowering steps we can take as we age. As the years pass, visual acuity naturally changes. That sharpness you once took for granted may soften slightly. Contrast sensitivity, the ability to distinguish objects from their background, can also decline. Retinal responsiveness, which helps the eye process light efficiently, may not work quite as quickly as it once did. These changes are common, and for many people, they're part of normal aging. But what often gets overlooked is that not all vision changes feel the same, and not all of them should be ignored without awareness. This is why conversations around eye health have grown more thoughtful in recent years. Instead of focusing only on problems once they become disruptive, there's now more interest in understanding how the eye ages over time. Researchers are asking different questions than they did decades ago. They're looking at how daily habits, long-term lifestyle patterns, and overall health may influence how well the eyes adapt as the years go by. It's not about assuming something is wrong. It's about staying informed. One topic that's receiving more attention in scientific discussions is the idea of silent strain within the eye, particularly in the retina. The retina is a delicate, light-sensitive layer at the back of the eye, and it plays a central role in how we see detail, color, and contrast. Unlike a sore muscle or a stiff joint, the retina doesn't send clear warning signals when it's under stress. There's no obvious pain. Instead, changes may show up subtly, through reduced clarity or sensitivity to light. Inflammation is one area researchers continue to study in relation to aging eyes. In simple terms, inflammation is the body's natural response to stress or irritation. Over time, low-grade inflammation can become part of the aging process in many tissues, including those in the eye. This doesn't mean inflammation automatically leads to vision problems, but it does help explain why scientists are interested in how overall health affects retinal function. What's important here is context. These discussions aren't about diagnosing conditions or predicting outcomes. They're about understanding trends that appear in population studies and long-term research. As people live longer and spend more time using screens, driving at night, or reading under artificial lighting, the demands on the visual system change. Naturally, researchers want to understand how the retina responds to these demands over time. Nutrition often enters the conversation at this point, not as a cure or a solution, but as part of a broader picture. When scientists study eye health in aging populations, they frequently examine dietary patterns. They look at nutrients commonly found in balanced diets, antioxidants, certain fats, minerals like zinc, and naturally occurring pigments called carotenoids. These compounds are studied because they play roles throughout the body, including in tissues that are sensitive to light and oxygen, like the eyes. It's worth emphasizing that this research doesn't point to single foods or ingredients as magic answers. Instead, it highlights patterns. People who consume a wide variety of nutrient-dense foods tend to support overall health, and eye health is often discussed within that larger framework. The eyes don't exist in isolation. They're connected to blood flow, metabolic health, and the body's ability to manage oxidative stress over time. Seeds often come up in these broader nutritional discussions, which is why they've attracted attention in lifestyle-focused health conversations. Seeds are nutrient-dense, meaning they contain a range of compounds in relatively small amounts of food. In research settings, they're not treated as remedies, but as examples of foods that contribute to diverse dietary patterns. This distinction matters, especially in responsible health education. Rather than ranking seeds or presenting them as standalone fixes, many experts talk about them as part of balanced eating habits. Seeds can be included alongside vegetables, fruits, whole grains, and other foods that support general well-being. When discussed this way, they become part of a lifestyle conversation, not a promise of results. This approach keeps the focus where it belongs, on long-term habits, rather than short-term expectations. What makes these conversations resonate with so many viewers is how closely vision is tied to daily life. Even small shifts in visual acuity or contrast can feel surprisingly disruptive. Reading becomes more tiring. Navigating unfamiliar spaces may require more focus. Driving at night can feel less comfortable. These experiences don't just affect how we see, they affect confidence, independence, and how we move through the world. For older adults, and for those who care for them, these changes can bring quiet emotional weight. It's not uncommon to feel frustrated or uncertain when tasks that once felt effortless require more attention. And because vision is so central to daily routines, even subtle changes can feel bigger than they are medically. Acknowledging that emotional side is just as important as understanding the science. Public health conversations increasingly recognize this human element. They aim to reassure people that noticing changes doesn't mean something is inevitably wrong, while also encouraging awareness and curiosity. Asking questions, staying informed, and paying attention to how your body responds over time are all part of healthy aging. There's no single moment when eye health suddenly matters. It's a lifelong consideration that simply becomes more noticeable with age. This is where lifestyle thinking becomes especially valuable. Protecting vision isn't about chasing quick solutions or reacting out of fear. It's about viewing eye health as one piece of overall well-being. Balanced nutrition, regular checkups, mindful screen use, and attention to lighting conditions are often discussed together, not because any one factor controls the outcome, but because they interact in meaningful ways. The way we think about health has evolved. Instead of focusing only on what to avoid, there's more emphasis on what supports resilience over time. This mindset encourages people to feel involved in their health without feeling overwhelmed. It replaces fear with understanding and urgency with patience. And when it comes to vision, that shift can be incredibly reassuring. If you think about it, the eyes are constantly adapting. They adjust to light and darkness, movement and stillness, detail and distance. Aging doesn't stop that adaptability. It simply changes the conditions under which it happens. By learning how vision naturally evolves, people can approach these changes with more confidence and less anxiety. As researchers continue to explore topics like retinal sensitivity and visual processing, the public conversation will likely keep evolving too. New findings don't arrive to replace what we already know, but to add nuance. They remind us that health is rarely about absolutes. It's about patterns, tendencies, and probabilities, not guarantees. Before we go further, take a moment to reflect on your own experience. Have you noticed small shifts in how your eyes respond to light or detail over the years? Do certain situations feel more visually demanding than they used to? You're not alone in noticing these things, and sharing those experiences can be surprisingly helpful for others. If this sounds familiar, consider leaving a comment about what you've observed or what questions you've had about your vision. Conversations like this grow stronger when people realize they're not the only ones paying attention to these changes. By talking openly and calmly about eye health, we help normalize awareness rather than worry. And that's exactly where responsible health discussions should live, in a space that informs, reassures, and empowers. As this discussion continues, we'll look more closely at how everyday habits, emerging research, and long-term lifestyle thinking fit together when it comes to protecting vision over time. Because understanding how your eyes age isn't about predicting the future. It's about feeling prepared for it. And there's one aspect of this topic that often gets overlooked, even in well-meaning health conversations. So stay with me, because that's where things start to get truly interesting. If you found this perspective helpful, consider liking the video so others can find it too. And if you know someone who's been wondering about changes in their eyesight, sharing this conversation might help them feel a little more at ease. I'd love to hear your thoughts and experiences in the comments. Your voice adds meaning to this discussion, and together we can keep learning what healthy aging really looks like.